If you can start the recording.
Yeah, I'll start it. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, just give
And
me.
we are live.
Okay. Hey guys, I think people are gonna join. Let me start the recording. I think the recording is gonna go on. Yeah, yeah. Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, depending upon the timelines, time zones you guys are in. Welcome to Power BI Philippines user community second session in this on this year. So, guys, today we are gonna be having fun with knowing the tips and tricks from Pragati on how we're gonna get our reports better. So Pragati is a consultant, if I'm not wrong. She's a consultant from and has been an MVP for almost 2 years now, I guess. And Pragati has been in the space of data and Power BI and has been giving has been doing a wonderful job in with community, giving a lot of sharing her knowledge, sharing her expertise. Looking forward to that session, Pragati. All over to you guys. The stage is
Thank
yours,
you.
Pragati.
Thanks, Prince, for that introduction. So I'll just share my screen, and when you see my screen, just shout out like you can see the screen as a confirmation. So can you guys see this PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, Pragati.
Okay. So yeah, thank you guys for inviting me for this session in this wonderful meetup group. So today I'm giving a session on button and bookmark tricks in Power BI. So how you can use them to give a different user experience to your reports and how you can take your reports to a next level. But before I start the session, I'll just like to give an introduction about myself. So my name is Pragati Jain and I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, as Prince said. But just to correct that, I just got my MVP this year, not 2 years. So yeah, just on that point. And I'm a super user at Microsoft Power BI community. So if any one of you guys who are active at Microsoft Power BI community, you'll see me very much active there, helping others with their queries or even asking myself queries on that forum because it's such an amazing platform to learn Power BI. Then apart from that, I've got nearly 10 plus years of industry experience. So I started my career as a database developer in India with Tata Consultancy Services, but eventually I moved to analytics domain from last few years. Currently, I'm working as a senior data analyst at Trustpilot here in London. One fun fact about me, I'm not sure if it is a fun fact, but it is for me sometimes. So I'm a painter as well, guys, and I just like to proudly call myself a techie artist. And also, I'll be sharing this deck with Prince, so he can put them on the meetup group. So I've also included my social networking handles here. So if any of you guys want to connect with me, have got any queries, suppose if in today's session we don't get time to answer all the queries, you can just reach out to me on my blog. So I've got my own blogging website. Then I have got LinkedIn here. So you can just message me on LinkedIn. You can message me on Twitter. You can even reach out to me on Power BI community because I've included my profile link here and I'm also on Instagram. So before we start the session, I'll just, kind of want to show you the layout for today's session. So layout is more around the agenda, like what we'll be covering. So once we go there, then we can start today's session. So this is just like the agenda for today's session. And main thing, this is just a one slide all demo session, guys, because everything I'll be showing you in Power BI, so it has nothing to do showing you anything in PowerPoint deck. So for today's agenda, I have, listed out a few things which I want to show you in Power BI. Obviously, I can see like there are 7 things, but let's see how much time we get today to finish all these things. I'll try to cover up everything, but if in case we don't, then we can do it maybe in the next session or something. So yeah, I'll be covering up how to enable drill up and drill down information in a chart, then toggle between the charts. Then we'll also see some kind of page navigation on the report, how you can do that using buttons and bookmarks. Then we'll also look at how you can use images as button bookmarks on your report just to add that little extra, different thing or to your reports. Then we'll also see how you can use a drill through button in Power BI. And if the time permits, we'll also go further down and see how you can reset filters using a button. And also I'll give you a little introduction about the modern visual tooltip functionality that came into Power BI after just I think 2 months back it was introduced in Power BI. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, let's start with Power BI and our today's session. So guys, this is Power BI desktop, and I'm expecting whoever is attending this session, they know a little bit about Power BI, what Power BI desktop is. So just to give you a highlight, Power BI desktop is a free tool which you can directly download on your Microsoft Windows and Windows machine, and you can just get started with it. Basically, it is for free. So what I have done for today, I've done few things ready. I've got my data here, which is ready, and we'll use this data to create all the different things what I listed down here. So I'll just give you a little background about data, though the data hasn't got much info into it, but it's like a very much kind of anonymized data. So just consider this data more around, what people talk about, different brands or different products they purchase on a online platform. So basically, if you see, this data has got a platform like eStore, and he has got some ratings. So like what kind of ratings different people have given for different brands against different categories and subcategories, and what kind of sentiments they're talking about. So one thing what I have done was, in this data, there was something like comments, what people write about their experiences on an online platform. Like, for example, this product was amazing, but my delivery was delayed. So that's the kind of comment people leave, or the reviews they leave along with these ratings on a platform. So what we did internally was, we just analyzed those comments in a DI tool, data science platform, and we just got some sentiments around their comments, like whether they're talking positive, they're talking negative, or their comments are more neutral side. So yeah, it's an anonymized data. So don't judge the data today, but just look at the functionalities what we are going to implement today. Okay, so let's start with the first thing here. Okay, so the first thing what we'll see today is how to implement a drill up and drill down functionality on a chart in Power BI. So for that, what I'll simply do first thing is I'll create a basic chart. Now, when I'm talking about drill up and drill down, I'm more talking around hierarchies. So for example, the simplest hierarchy what you see in Power BI is a date hierarchy, right? If you have anything in your data which is related to date, then Power BI by default tends to create a hierarchy. Obviously, if you have enabled that option in your settings, then Power BI just gets your date hierarchy. So for example, in my data here, I've got a date column, and Power BI just gave me a default hierarchy because I had it switched on in my settings. So what I'll try to show you today is, how we can drill up and drill down between these different hierarchies on a chart using buttons and bookmarks. So first, for that, I'll just create a basic chart here. So what I'll do is I'll move my date as an axis. And what I'm doing is I'll just, I just created a basic measure already. It's the simplest measure one can create in Power BI. So it's basically just counting the number of rows in your data. So I'll just move it here. So it's just telling me, what's the volume of data I see by different, date levels. So this is kind of like the basic chart I have created, and we'll just rename it total. Now every row in my data represents a review. So I'll just name it as total reviews by date or something, or we can just write it as overtime. Okay, so that's the first chart we have got. Now in Power BI, now obviously there might be many people in the audience who are really good at Power BI. They're experts in Power BI, and they know all the capabilities in Power BI. For example, whenever you move a hierarchy on a chart in Power BI, it gives you these icons, which helps you in drilling up and drilling down your data, basically. So for example, if I want to go to next level, so now my first level here is year. Okay, so date has got these 4 hierarchies: year, quarter, month, and day. So when you click on these, it just takes you to the next level of the data view. So for example, currently it's showing me the data at year level. If I click on this, it shows me quarter. When I further go down, it shows me month level. You can hover over the information and see what it's showing. And further, if I go down, it shows me a daily level. Okay, so these kind of functionalities are very easily predictable and known by the people who already know Power BI. But what about the users who are, just consuming your reports for the first time? These things are not very intuitive to them. And suppose if you have like a big group of users who are very used to using online platforms like online websites where the interactions are mostly, around using buttons and bookmarks. So, to feed your reports to such kind of users who are still, at the first level of Power BI and they are just getting used to how to use a Power BI report, then, for them, you can give like a button kind of functionality in Power BI that will just give them a similar experience they have in other online platforms. So for that, today we'll use two things. One is buttons and the other thing is bookmarks. So how we'll use it is, let's just start. So for that, first what I'll do is in Power BI at the top, go to bookmarks pane. Now what a bookmark is. The very simple example, what I see as a bookmark is from a daily life. So for example, if you're into reading books, now suppose if today you just read first 100 pages of your book and you just want to bookmark it, just want to mark it somehow. So tomorrow when you come back and pick up your book again, you should start from the next page, which is your next 101st page, right? So you add a mark and you call it as a bookmark. So bookmark has basically, kept the point or maintained the state of what you did, right? So that's what bookmark is here in Power BI. It's used to, retain the state of a report page. Now, retain the state of the report page is more around data-based. So for example, let's create a bookmark. Now, suppose on this chart, I have got data at year level, but I want to create 4 buttons here. One is at year, quarter, month, and day. So for example, any user who clicks on month level, this chart should show me data at month level. If someone clicks at day button, then this chart should show me data at day level. Now to do that, we create a button, and what we do is to every button, we define an action. And those actions are generally bookmarks. So there are different kind of actions you can define against a button. But today for this approach, we'll be seeing how you add a bookmark as an action to your button. So let's create first bookmark. Now, as there are 4 hierarchies in a date, so we'll end up creating 4 bookmarks because every button needs to be linked to a different bookmark. Okay, so one thing came to my mind just now. Someone on this Power BI forum asked like 2 days back, like, can you link one button to a multiple action? So the straight answer to that is no, because every button can be linked to only a single action. You can't link one button to multiple actions. So yeah, keep that in mind. So let's just start with creating the bookmarks. So the first bookmark, you just hit add and this thing appears. Now, first thing I'll do is rename it to make it clear. Otherwise, it's not clear what bookmark we are creating. Now, this is a year level bookmark, okay? Now, whenever you want to retain the state of a page or on a report page, you need to update that bookmark so that, it can maintain the state on which you want that bookmark to work, right? Now, suppose what I want this bookmark to work on year level hierarchy of this chart. So what I'll do is make sure your chart is at year level hierarchy, not at a different hierarchy. Okay. And if it is at a different hierarchy, then bookmark will just save it at that step. So make sure it is at year hierarchy. And what you can do is you can just click on the bookmark and click update. Now, suppose if I go to next hierarchy, quarter and month. Okay, but now if I click the bookmark, it should take me to the year level hierarchy in the chart. So if I click on it, it takes me to year level hierarchy. So that's what my bookmark has done. It has retained the state of this chart on this page. Now I just have one chart, so obviously that thing on this page for that year level hierarchy. Now, similarly, what we can do is we can create other buttons for quarter, month, and day. So what I'll do is I'll again create additional bookmark. I'll click on that. I'll rename it to quarter because it is quarter. And what I'll do is I'll update it at a quarter level information on this chart. Let me just make this chart a little bigger. So what I'll do is, I'll take my chart level information to quarter level. Then I go to quarter, click on these 3 dots and just update. Now, one suggestion or one thing as part of best practice. Test your bookmarks at every step you create them, okay? Because sometimes when you have like multiple bookmarks on your report, they can really go wrong and it's easily not identifiable where the problem is. So always, as a thumb rule, always test your bookmark at every step you create them. So we created quarter, let's just test it. Let's go to year. Chart changes to year. Let's go to quarter. Chart changes to quarter. So bingo, that works. So let's just create 2 more bookmarks for month and day, and then we'll see how we can link it to, different buttons. So let's create the third bookmark, rename it so we know what it is for rather than just keeping it bookmark 1, 2, 3. And then go to your chart, take it to month level, and then update your month bookmark. Once you do that, test your bookmark. Go to year. There you go. You have got year level data. Go to quarter. You have got quarter level data. Go to month. You have got monthly level data. Similarly, we'll create the last bookmark for this scenario, and that's a day. So go to your chart, take it to day level hierarchy. And yeah, of course, you can use any chart. I've just used the basic column bar chart here. You can use anything and go to your day bookmark and just update it. So that's how. Now let's test it. That's the bigger thing. Go to year hierarchy on the chart. Go to quarter level hierarchy on the chart. Go to month level hierarchy on the chart. Go to day, daily level hierarchy on the chart. Perfect. So we have got at least a bookmark setup. Okay. Now the next step comes how you can link these bookmarks to a button. Okay. So for that, what we'll do, simple thing, go to Insert tab in Power BI on the top ribbon. Just simply click whatever button you want. Okay. Just select whatever button you want. I'm just selecting a blank one for now, but you can have other buttons with different icons if that works for your scenario. But in this scenario, I just want to have the blank buttons and use them as, for standard yearly, monthly, and quarterly level thing. So what I'll do, once you create this button, okay, in the format button, let me just keep it open. In the format button, you can add a text to it. So let's create the first button, which will be a yearly level. And you can select the size, you can, play around with these formatting options here. I would say if you want, you can give a color as well to your button. So for example, you can go to background and give some color if you want. So maybe if I want something, okay, let's go with this. And what you can do is you can change the other stuff as well. So that's how you can give that. I'll not give that for now. So that's a year button. Now, whenever you create a button, there's an action option under format option. So action allows you to link this button to something. Okay, in our case, we'll try to link this button to a year bookmark. So what I'll do is I'll enable this action. I'll just make it bigger. Now, once you've seen the action, there are different types of actions you can define: back action, bookmark action, drill through action, page navigation, Q&A, and web URL. Out of these, we'll see few in upcoming time. But yeah. For this case, we want a bookmark type of action. So I'll select bookmark. Then you have to select with which bookmark you want to link this button, right? In my case, this is a yearly button. So obviously I want to link it to year. Okay. And see now, if you want to give tooltips, you can give tooltips. If you don't want tooltips, don't give them. But I generally prefer giving tooltips. So yeah. So I'll just give something like click here to view yearly information. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll just copy it so we can use it for other buttons by just changing a quick bit. So now this button is linked to my year bookmark. So we can test it. Now how we can test it is, again, take your data to quarter level. Now click your button. It will take you to show your data at year level. Now one thing here, when you are dealing with buttons in Power BI desktop, you need to use control click. Okay. But once you publish your report to Power BI service, there you just use it as you use it on a normal website, like just click it and it will do it. But Power BI desktop is a development tool, so there are a few things different. So yeah, that's how you do that. So yeah, we have got a yearly button. Simply just create the other 3 buttons quickly. So the other one, what we'll create is for quarterly. So we go there, we just go to button text, we just take and yeah, you can give the same name, same size of the text. So you can play around with the formattings here. Then main things, we'll go to action. We'll select the action as bookmark, and the bookmark will be in this case quarter because I want quarter level information. And even you can give the tooltip here and just change it from, yeah. So now when you hover over quarter, you see a tooltip, click here to view quarterly information. So suppose if I click on it, so I'll use control and click, and it takes me to quarter level information. Now let's quickly create month and day because yeah, now you guys have got how we can create it. So I'll just create them quickly to finish up the scenario. So yeah, we'll just go there. monthly, and yeah, obviously you can rename them anything. I'm just using yearly, quarterly, monthly, and daily, but yeah, you can just use the wordings you want to use on your buttons. So yeah, it's completely up to you guys. So again, I'll go and click bookmark as an action, and then I'll select my bookmark. It is a monthly level, so month bookmark, and then I'll create a tooltip, and this is my monthly tooltip. So yeah, so now if I click on month, takes me to month. Okay, so guys, we are following the same thumb rule. Create everything and test it at every step. Okay, because yeah, when it goes wrong, it goes way too wrong, and it's, I mean, I have experienced I couldn't identify issues with bookmarks sometimes when there are so many. So yeah, the next one, last one remaining is for daily. So we create a button, we go to button text. Guys, just let me know if I'm going fast. I'm just going a little fast on this scenario because we have already done that. And this is the last one, that's why. So I select a bookmark as an action. I select my day because this is my daily, and I give my tooltip here. Okay, perfect. So this was the last button. Now, if I click on this, it will take me to daily. So that's how now your bookmarks are working. Now, yearly is yearly level data, quarterly is quarterly level data, monthly is month level data, and daily is day level data. So that's how you can, I mean, this approach is more for the users who are new to Power BI, I would say, not for the ones who are already trained on Power BI. But yeah, sometimes this approach really gives like, I would say different dimension to your report, because when you give different formatting options to your button, then they really look good. So that's the first scenario we did, guys. So this is drill up, drill down. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, the second one, what we had was the toggle between charts. So what I'll do, I'll just create another page, and yeah. Now here what I'll do, now toggle between chart. Now suppose on a report you have a challenge around having multiple charts, but you still want to show those charts in a limited space. So what you can do in Power BI is basically in a single space, you can try to show multiple charts. But today I'll just try to show you how you can show two charts in a single space. Okay, so for that, what I'll do, I'll create simple chart again. I'll just create this chart, and what I'll do, I'll move the normal information there. So what I'll do, I'll take my date hierarchy again, and I'll move my total rows. And what I'll do, I'll limit my hierarchy to just show month year level data. And what I can do is on the chart, if I drill down to the lowest possible hierarchy, it shows me, the data at month year hierarchy. Okay, now suppose in your report or in your requirement, you have got something from the client, like you have to show a scenario where you need some buttons. So if you click on one button, it should show you chart with data labels, and I mean without data labels. And if you click on other button, it should show you data with data labels. Okay, so for that, what we'll do is we'll create two charts. Okay, it's like a simple hack kind of thing in Power BI, but it really works well when you have got certain requirements. So what I'll do, I'll just go there. Let me just change the title. Sorry guys, I'm very obsessed about the titles on the chart. So I just, because sometimes if the titles are not right, then it just, yeah, takes away everything. So what I'll do, I'll create another chart. So in Power BI, just do a Control-C and Control-V, because now we need a chart with data labels on it. So click on your chart, go to Format option. There's something called data labels. Okay, just switch that on. So now we have got two charts. I mean, same information, but one is without data labels and one is with data labels. Now, what we need to do is we need to create two buttons. So if I click on one button, it should show me chart without data labels. If I click on my second button, it should show me chart with data labels. So what we'll do first thing is go to Insert, create two buttons. I'm again going for blank buttons, but yeah, good to use anything. You can even bring in images, which I'll show you in next scenario. We'll give it a text. So our text is maybe switch off data labels, switch off labels. You can give anything, guys. So yeah, whatever works. use it as a text. Now what I'll do, I'll just copy paste this button to create my another button. Because yeah, make sure the sizes of these things are same, because if your button sizes are not same, they don't look good on the report, okay? So the second one will be for us will be switch on data labels. Okay, so we have got two buttons. Now the simple functionality, what we want is if I click on switch off labels, it should show me only this chart and hide these two things. And if I click on switch on labels, it should just show me this bottom chart and hide these two things. Now in Power BI, we'll do this by using two elements. The first is bookmarks, which we have already opened. And the second one is selection. Now in Power BI, selection pane is a pane which helps you to hide and unhide visuals. Okay, so the functionality, as we discussed, when we click on one button, we just want to show something, but we want to hide others, right? So we have to use the selection pane. So for example, if I click on this, if I hide it, it hides my chart, right? If I click it on again, it just unhides it. So we'll use this and the bookmark to achieve this functionality. So now let's create two bookmarks first. So my first bookmark is switch on labels. Okay. Now what I want on switch on labels is when I click on this bookmark, it should give me the chart with labels, and it should give me the button switch off labels so that I can return back to the chart without labels, right? So what I can do is, now let's just see which one is which chart. Now this is the top one, this is the bottom one, this is the top one. Okay, perfect. So now on switch on labels, I want to hide my chart without labels. So basically this chart, and I want to hide my switch on labels button as well. Because once I'm on the chart with labels, then I need a button to go to the chart without labels, right? So that's what this is. And what I'll do, I'll just update it. Okay, now let's test it. So again, following the same thumb rule, test on every step. So click on switch on labels, bingo, it shows me chart with labels and a button to go back to switch off labels. Now we can't use it because we haven't got a bookmark for this scenario. So what I'll do is I'll create another bookmark, and that will be switch off labels. Okay, now in switch off labels, I want to hide my chart with labels, and I want to hide my button with switch off labels so that I have option to return to the chart with labels. So what I'll do is hide this chart, because switch off labels should show me chart without labels, and hide this and hide this button, because I should have a way to go to the chart with labels. And what I'll do, I'll just update it. Done. Now let's test it. So when you click on switch on labels, chart with labels appear and gives you capability to go to switch off labels. When you click on switch off labels, gives you a chart without labels and gives you a capability to go to switch on labels. Now the last step, link these buttons with the bookmarks we have created, right? So what we'll do is click on switch off labels, open the format button. Same as we did before, go to action. Now again, we want to link a bookmark action. We click on bookmark. Now switch off labels is linked to my switch off labels bookmark. Now I don't want tooltips in this case, okay, because my text is very much descriptive. So that's how this works. So suppose let's test it. Now if I click on switch off labels, it should show me chart with switched off labels without labels and a button to go to switch on labels, right? Now just unhiding them so we can create the another action before we wrap this thing. So click on switch on labels, go to action, enable the action. Action is a type of bookmark, go to bookmark and then just select switch on labels, right? And I don't want tooltips. Perfect. So now let's just test it. If I click on switch off labels, it showed me chart without labels and a button to go to the other chart with labels. If I click on switch on labels, it shows me chart with labels and a button to go to the chart on a without label state. Perfect. Now let's just align them in a way, because in the starting we talked about we want multiple charts in a single space. So not this way, because this approach is good when you have got limited space on your chart. So what I'll do, first thing, make sure the size of your charts is same. In our case, what I did, I just copied and pasted the chart so the size is same. Because what we are going to do is we are just going to put them on top of each other. So they just take space of one chart. And same thing, what I'll do is I'll just do with my buttons as well. If you have more space, you can keep both the buttons. But suppose if you don't have that much space and you just want to keep one button, you can put the buttons on top of each other, right? Now let's just test it. Click on switch on labels. So chart with switch on labels is there and a button with option for you to go to the chart without labels. Click on switch off labels, takes you to the chart without labels and a button to navigate you back to the chart where it had labels. So yeah, guys, this is basically the simple toggle functionality. And yeah, this is really helpful, guys, because sometimes we end up creating multiple charts on a report page, though it is not advised due to performance issues. But still, when we have such requirements, we need so many things on a single page. So, this kind of trick can really work in, bringing more information together in our limited space on the report page. Perfect. Now, the third one is page navigation. Now, before creating this, I'll just show you a simple report where page navigation could be helpful. So any of you guys, if you attended my previous session on data analysis using Power BI for beginners, so I just showed this report in the end just to show, how you can create different interactive things on report. So how this report is, this is a home page. And from this home page, I've got navigation to 3 different kinds of data analysis. So this is what page navigation can be useful in. So when user accesses your report, they land to this homepage, and from this homepage they can go to different studies and then they can come back to the homepage. So that's the kind of navigation we'll create. So for example, if I click on this, it takes me to a new page where I have got some summary around travel products, and I've got a back button which takes me back to my homepage. So this is the kind of navigation I'll just quickly show you how you can do in Power BI. Now for that, we'll just create a new page and I'll just rename it homepage and just make it clear what we can. Okay, so this doesn't require bookmark and selection pane stuff. So let's just remove them. And yeah. So here, what I'll do first is I'll just create a title for this page. So, it's just easy and clear, like this is a home page. So we just go and create this title, and I'll show you 2 different navigations you can create from a single page. And yeah, works fine. Let's just move it like, okay, let's just move it in between. So yeah, you can align this. So that's the home page. Now from home page, we'll create navigation to 2 different pages. So let's create 2 more text, or let's do one thing. Let's create 2 buttons. So I'll again go for a blank button, but yeah, you can go for anything, guys, whatever works for you. And the first scenario or first navigation, what I'll be creating is to show brand ratings. Okay, so in the data, we had some ratings against a brand. So one page will be more around brand ratings summary, and we'll try to navigate it from here. So what I'll do is I'll just create brand rating, right? And yeah, you can just make them bigger and bolder. And what I'll do, I'll just copy paste the button. So I'm taking the same size of the button as well, just to, make my things look uniform. So the first page is brand rating and the second page will be maybe brand sentiments, because we had information around sentiments. Okay, so now how we want is from home page, we want to go to brand ratings page, and then from home page, we also want to go to brand sentiments page. Now to go to these pages, you really need these pages, right? So let's just quickly create them. So the first page will be brand rating, right? That's the first page. And what I'll do is I'll just create a simple, a simple chart here or simple table here, because I'm not going into detail how you create charts, right? On summary pages, you can just do that. So I'll just create a simple table, and what I'll do is I'll just move my date. I'll move the brand because it is brand rating. I can move category and subcategory as well. And what I'll do is I'll just move the rating. And yeah, I'll just move the average of rating. Okay, so that's the table, and it has got something like brands over time, with different rating. One thing we can do is let's just do a date. Okay. And yeah, perfect. So it's a simple table here. Similarly, let's create another page for brand sentiments. What I'll do is I'll just duplicate the page and I'll just rename it to, sorry, it is brand sentiments. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll make this as a, okay, now let's just move this brand. And what I'll do is I'll just add sentiment column. And what I'll do is I'll just drill it down. So what I have is basically for every brand, I've got different sentiments, and along those sentiments, I've got ratings over time. So this is my second page. Now, simple, very simple. Go back to home page, click on the button. Now, as we were discussing, obviously from the different scenarios we just looked at, every button needs to be given an action. So this action is going to be more like page navigation. So if you click on brand ratings, go to action, enable that. Now in the type of action, you have got something called page navigation. In this case, we want a page navigation, right? So we click on page navigation. And at the moment you click on page navigation, a destination option comes up, like to what destination you want this button to take you to, right? So if I hover over that, it shows me what button, what page. So in this case, I want brand rating. So I click on that, and I'm not going for tooltips this time. So yeah, so we can test this, okay? Just click on it. It takes you to brand rating page, right? So that's what this is doing. I'll just do one more thing. I'll just add some title so we know on which page we are. Otherwise it's, so yeah, guys, I just copy pasted the other one, brand ratings, okay? And I'll just do this on the sentiment page as well. So yeah, we know on which page we are, because currently I haven't given proper headings to my pages, okay? So yeah, okay. So now that's what it works, right? We go to home page, we click on brand ratings. It takes us to brand ratings. Now, how we go back to the home page here? Simple. When you click on this insert on the top ribbon, under buttons, there's something called back button. If you click that and keep it here, and suppose if I click on this button again, it will take me back to home page, because what back button does it takes you back to the initial page from which you arrived on this page. So for example, if I click on brand ratings, I arrived to brand ratings page from home page. So this back button will by default take me to home page. So that's how you come back. Similarly, we'll create the same thing for brand sentiment. So we click on the button, we enable the action under formats. We go there, we select the type of navigation, type of action, that is page navigation. Then we select the destination page. In our case, it is brand sentiments. I don't want tooltips, so I'll just switch it off. Now, if I click on brand sentiments, it should take me to brand sentiments page. So click on it, it takes me to brand sentiments page. Again, we need something to go back to the home page. So simply go back to the buttons, go to the back button and just use that. So if I click on this, I'll just move it somewhere here. If I click on this, it will take me back to home page. So simple, that's a simple page navigation we have created. So this is something useful when you have some reports where you want to really give users this kind of experience rather than going them into every different page from here. So that's how you can do this page navigation. Now the next one is images as button. Let's see this. This is very interesting. So let's create a new page and page background, just go there. Okay. Now I'll again create a simple chart, guys, because the aim of this session is to show you tips and tricks, not the different ways of creating charts in Power BI. So what I'll do is I'll again move my date field here, limit it to month and year level. And what I'll do is I'll just move total reviews. And what I'll do, I'll give them, yeah, I think that's fine. So yeah, this is basically total reviews over time, right? So let's just rename them quickly. Yeah, so that's our chart. And let's just drill it down to the, yeah, best level. Okay, so this is a total reviews chart. Now, suppose if I want some functionality, like I've got different charts and I've got like 3 images. If I click on one of the image, it should show me one chart. If I click on another image, it should show me another chart. And if I click on my third image, it should show me a third chart. So what I'll do for that, we need 3 charts, right? So what I'll do is on this chart, I'll just show something like positive sentiment reviews. So I'll just go and click on positive. And what we can do is in the title, we give something like positive. So we know like this chart is for positive, and for a better thing, what you can do is you can just give a proper green color. So yeah, so this color picker is, yeah, kind of my favorite. Just love it. So yeah, you can just give like a proper green color. I just want the dark. Oh yeah, this one works. Okay, so that's okay. Positive is generally represented as green. So I've taken green, guys. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just copy paste this chart because I just want to create 2 more charts, one for neutral sentiment and the other one is for negative. So what I'll go on this chart is just change my visual level filter, make it to neutral so it shows me neutral. And the other thing what I'll do is I'll just change the title that it is neutral. And here I'll change the color as well because it should be shown as neutral, right? So we select something like yellow for neutral. Similarly, I'll just copy this chart again and make the third one for negative, okay? So I'll just go on my visual level filter, select negative, and yeah, just change the color as well and title as well. So we have those 3 charts in place. Negative, and I'll just select the colors as well. So yeah, again, go to colors. Yeah, you can do like color picker, use the right color. That's there. Okay, so we have got 3 charts in place. Now what I want is, I just want like 3 images, and I just want some interaction. Like, as I said, I click on images and I should get these charts, right? Currently, these charts are of same size. So what we'll do is, let's bring in some images, okay? So click on the image button. Now I've got 3 images here, okay? One is positive, neutral, and negative because that's what I'm trying to show here. So I'll just bring these images one by one here, okay? So that's my positive, then neutral, and then the third one is my negative. Right, so I've got 3 images, and what I'll do is I'll just give them a proper size. And just to make sure the image sizes are same, so what you can do is click on your image, go to the format options, and under general, you can see the image, okay, 98, 92. So what I'll do, I'll just go there and give the other images as well same size, because as we talked earlier, it's good to have everything of the same size, otherwise they just don't look good on your report. Okay, so our 3 images are here. Now what we want is, if I click on this green smiley of mine, it should just show me this chart. If I click on neutral smiley, then it should show me this chart. And if I click on negative smiley, it should show me this chart. So simple, we just create 3 different bookmarks. So let's go to bookmark pane. And obviously we need a selection pane as well because we want to hide and unhide stuff, right? So what we'll do is simple, click on a bookmark, create a bookmark. One is for positive. And in positive, what I want to hide these 2. Okay, in this case, I want all the 3 images visible. I just don't want to hide them. I just want to hide and unhide chart. So for my positive, I want to hide neutral and negative. So I just hide these, okay, and just update it. Perfect. Let's just test it. Click on the bookmark. You just see the chart with positive sentiment and all the 3 images which I want. Similarly, we'll create quickly 2 more buttons. One for neutral. And again, for the neutral, I want my positive and negative to be hidden, and I just update it on that state, right? Just test it. Positive is positive, neutral is neutral. Perfect. Let's create another bookmark, and that's my negative. So it should show me chart only with negative sentiment. So I hide my positive and neutral, and then we just update it. Now just test it. Positive, neutral, negative. Bingo, we have got them working. Now the only thing remaining is we need to link these images to these bookmarks, right? So what I'll do is, images have same options as buttons. There's an action related to them. So just enable the action, go to the action. It's a bookmark action. And in this case, it will be positive because it's my green smiley. And perfect. We can test it, click on it. It shows me just positive chart. Okay, so it's working fine, guys. Let's just do this simply for the other 2 as well. So we have them working. Go to neutral, go to action, pick up bookmark type and your bookmark. Perfect. That's done. Similarly, we'll do it for negative. Go to action, bookmark and your bookmark. Yeah. Okay. So now let's just test it. If I click on green smiley, it should show me positive sentiment. If I click on neutral, it shows me neutral sentiment. And if I click on red, it shows me negative sentiment. Now let's just align them in a better way. So I'll just unhide everything, okay? So as we know, these charts were of the same size. So what I can do is, first of all, bring these images quickly at the top. And yeah, and what I'll do is I'll just keep the charts one above each other. So this kind of thing you can again use when there is a challenge with the space. Make sure the size of the chart is same. The best process is just to copy paste if you're dealing with multiple charts and bring in the image somewhere here. So you can have them at the top. Okay, perfect. Now let's just test it. Click on green, gives me chart with positive sentiment. Click on neutral, gives me chart with neutral sentiment. Click on red, give me chart with negative sentiment. Perfect. So that's basically how you can use images as buttons. Now, okay, drill through button usage. How much time do I have, guys? Is it just a minute or 5 minutes? Do I have 5 minutes?
Yes, Pragati.
Okay, I'll just,
More than
I
that,
really want.
Pragati, more than that. Hasham bhai is just waiting, so it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, cool. So I can just quickly show this because it's really
Yeah.
good thing to see. Thank you. So what we'll do is there's something called drill through button in Power BI, and I'll just show you how you can use it. Okay. Now suppose you have a page where you have information at I mean, it's like a summary table, okay? So let's just create like a simple, okay, we can actually copy it rather than creating it. What I'll do is I'll just copy the other table I created, guys. Not this one, sorry, I just want a table. So I just copy this, okay? Now suppose this is kind of a summary table I have got, and where I have got different information like, I've got date, I've got brand, and then what we can do is, suppose let's create some summary counts because it's not a summary table. So like every brand has got how many categories, how many subcategories, and how many rate. Let's just do like count of ratings. Okay. So, and let's remove the date because yeah, you can have multiple things. So now what I've got a summary kind of thing. So for every brand, I've got how many categories are there in that brand, how many subcategories are there in that brand, and how many ratings have been given against that brand. Now, suppose if I have a requirement like from here, I just want to, go to a detailed view of the brand and see like what different categories are there in the brand. Like suppose brand one has got 94 different categories. Now I just want to, drill into details and see like what those 94 categories are, for example. So for that, what we'll do is we create a drill through in Power BI. Now, how that work is we just create a different page. Let's create a new page and okay. And on this page, now I want something at a brand level. So on the new page, I want to create something which is at a brand level. So in Power BI, what you can see is, let me just close these things for now. So in Power BI, what you have is, you can create a drill through page by moving some information to it. So this is a drill through area. And I want this page to show me a detailed information at a brand level. So what I can do is I'll move my brand column here. Okay. As soon as I move something to my drill through section, a column, a back button gets created. Okay. Because this just takes you to the previous page from which you arrive here. It's the same thing as we did in the home page navigation thing. Now, suppose I can just create some information here, like I create a table. I can move the brand. I want to see how many subcategories that it has got, right? And similarly, if you want, I can create, if you want to see how many categories it has got. So we just go there and just move all the categories that brand has got. So this is like just a simple example, okay, what kind of detailed information we can have, but there could be a different level of detailed information we can have. Now, let's go to page 1. Now, as soon as you create something on your page 2, and if you hover over the brand one, and if you click on it, you have got something called drill through. Okay, so this is like a inbuilt functionality in Power BI because I have got a page which is at a brand level showing me details. And if I click on this and go to page 2, it shows me all the things against that brand. Now, what has happened is it has kept all my filters. But I don't want to keep all my filters. I just want my drill through to work at brand level. So what I'll do is I'll just remove this, okay? Now one way is you right click and drill through. Okay, perfect. Works fine. But suppose if I don't want to right click, I want user to give some kind of navigation, like if they click on brand, a button comes up here, they click on that and then they go to this. So let's see how we give that, okay? So for that, there's something called drill through button in Power BI. So simply go to insert, under buttons, create a blank button. I mean, I just create blank buttons, but yeah, you can just use whatever you want in your scenario. So what I'll do is I'll just give it a text like, click here to, sorry about my spelling. Click here to view brand details, okay? That's the thing what this text button is telling me, okay? That's what I've got. Now I want this to be drill through button. So under action, when I showed you initially, there are different types of action you can provide. So there's something called drill through, okay? Now, once I click this drill through, guys, this button over here will get disabled. I'll tell you why. Click on this, it gets disabled, okay? The reason is this button can only be activated when you have selected a certain data point on your page. So like, for example, if I select my brand 10, oh, why this is not enabling? Sorry. Okay, one second. Let me try this. Let me just not summarize it and see. So I think if I click this, oh, okay, this is weird. This button should get enabled. Drill through. Oh, sorry guys. So when we selected drill through, you have to select a destination as well, like where that drill through button should take you, right? So in our case, it is page 2, which is a brand level information page. So sorry, I missed doing that. So when I click anything here, my button gets enabled, okay? And when I click on this, it will take me to a page where I've got detailed information about brand. Obviously, you can get different charts here, like for example, any chart like showing you sentiments. So you can have multiple detailed information here, okay? And I think here I've got a filter. That's why it's not working. So what we can do is just remove the visual level filter. So that's basically, just like the different I mean, not a different, but a way of using drill through button in Power BI. But just remember one thing, like drill through button only gets enabled when you select a data point. So you select a data point, and then it will take you to the details. Now in summary, you can have so many things here. So that's how you create like and yeah, this, if you click on this back button, it will take you to your home page. So this is like brand summary. And yeah, again, I would rename this as brand detail maybe. Okay, so that's like a brand detail. So that's how you use a drill through button in Power BI. Okay, so I have got like 2 more things, but I think I can take questions now because yeah, I think I'm already over my time. So yeah, I mean, guys, can you tell me if there are any questions regarding what I've shown so far?
Yeah, guys, you can raise your hands and we'll unmute you guys to get it across. Nitin, Dr. Nitin, Nitin sir is asking which mic you're using. It's too good.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is a Blue Yeti mic. And it's like, I think, used very much by many speakers. I mean, obviously, I'm not that big speaker, but yeah, this mic works perfectly fine. So it's a Yeti mic. You can find it on Amazon as well.
And Nitin is right now. Nitin's typing. Did I use the same? Oh, Okay.
And Pragati, so many people watched you from the YouTube so far, around 100 plus people, and people
Oh God.
has so many questions. So they have added on YouTube as well as some of them has joined the teams as well. So
Mhm.
guys, you can unmute yourself and ask your questions to Pragati directly. Meantime, I will just filter out some question from YouTube as well.
Thanks, Dhruvin. Yeah. Thanks, Nathan, for saying that. What are your PC specs? Come on, guys. This is not session related. Don't test my
Yes, yes.
hardware skills here.
Yes. Okay. So, Pragati, let me just go through the question from the
Yeah.
YouTube. So the very first question is like if we have Power Apps visual on the report, so can we implement a drill down functionality with that from the table? So
So
that is
what do you
one.
mean? Like Power Apps is a add-on visual you can have on Power BI, and on the same page you can have another table which can provide drill through functionality. Is that the question?
So they just don't want to click somewhere on the page. Power Apps is visual, which is definitely on the page we can add. But we just wanted to add to maybe some another page and right click drill through and it should
Mhm.
directly open up that thing. This is something the user want to tell here. But I think this is the question from Pranav. So Pranav, if you are here on the Teams, you can ask directly.
Yeah, I think Pranav, that would be great if you can unmute and ask me. Because if you're trying to ask like can we use drill through using Power Apps? So guys, I don't have much experience with using Power Apps, so sorry on that. But if you're asking like on a single report page, you have got something called Power Apps visual, and then there's another visual called table, which shows some summary information like we saw in the session, like brand level, and then from there you drill through to a brand level page. If that's the question, then yes, you can do that. But through Power Apps, sorry, I'm not expert in that area, so I'm not sure about how Power Apps work.
Pranav, I'll answer your question if you're asking from a Power Apps perspective. I think if your Power Apps is integrated with Power BI, and if you're doing through this, it's if you're trying to do a write back, then it does drill through. You can then if you click something on the Power Apps, it filters that visuals out on the Power BI as well. But they have to be linked across. If you're asking in that sense, but if you're asking from a Power App visual somewhere or something with the Power Apps, even I'm not that much familiar with Power Apps. So I think Pranav unmuted himself, so he wanted to ask. Pranav, you go ahead. Go ahead. You can ask.
Okay.
I
Maybe
think
some.
Nitin answered it. Nitin answered it, I think, on the Teams.
Okay, direct drill through to Power Apps is not available. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Nitin.
Yeah.
All right. We have some more question in the chat window as well right
Mhm.
now. Okay.
You
All
may
right.
drill through when you publish it, then it will hide in publishing. As I created save in Power BI, but when I published them. Okay, so sorry about the name. Is it Bilal? So if you're trying to say like drill through, but can drill through buttons be hidden? Are you saying that? Asking that, sorry?
Yes.
Um, okay. Direct drill. Okay, so you're asking can drill through buttons be hidden? I'm sure there should be a workaround to do that the same way we use selection pane, but I have never tried it honestly, Bilal, because I've always given that capability to the users to show them like there is something they need to drill through to. So that's why I always keep that button disabled, because when it gets enabled, then user, suddenly get an identification on the report. Yeah, they can further go down and drill through to the information. But I'm sure there should be a workaround of doing that using selection pane, and yeah, selection pane, I think. But I haven't tried it honestly.
Mm-hmm.
When I click on brand, then that button should, oh, you mean something like you click on the brand and that button should come like a hover window or something like that? Are you talking about in that perspective? If that is, I'm not sure how that works in Power BI so far, guys.
All right. Then Pragati, one more question from YouTube. Is
Mhm.
there any way to toggle without copy paste of the same report, as there may be a performance issue?
Toggle without copying, what do you mean by that? Because
I
toggle is between two charts, right? So you have
visibility,
to
yeah,
have two
yeah.
charts, right?
So what they're trying to say is without having a toggling between two charts, they can make one chart and dynamically it changes on the basis of your bookmarks and toggling. But I think that's not the
No, no,
way.
no, I don't think that can be achievable by bookmarks, but you can achieve it by using some DAX calculation. So there is a way to create a measure which can, make your visual appear if you do something, or if you select something in a slicer, and if you select a second option in slicer, then that chart just disappears and the other one comes up. But it's not possible through bookmarks, because bookmarks can only retain a state of a certain stage on a bookmark, so on a page. So they need to have something on the report to retain that state. If you don't have that, then yeah, they won't work. But hiding and hiding visual can be done using some tricks using DAX calculation. I've done one
Okay.
toggle.
All right. One more question is there. I think there are lots of questions, but let's cover up only few things. Then maybe we can go with another session. Is there any way? Just a minute. Is it possible to pass Power App link to Power BI report so that it can open itself in Power BI?
Okay. Now, again, I would say I haven't got experience with Power Apps, how they work, but you can embed a link in your Power BI report, and when you click on that, it will open the web page. So if you have got a link for Power Apps, because as per my understanding, Power Apps resides in a cloud environment. So if you have got something and it is already linked to your Power BI, then I think if you embed that link, it should open it, because you can embed links in Power BI which can open and take you through new web pages or new areas. So I'm guessing it should work, but yeah, again, I would say I'm not the best person to comment on that, because yeah, I haven't worked on Power Apps.
All right. So I think we are good, Pragati, for almost every YouTube question. Or maybe, guys, if I have not covered your question, please reach out Pragati on her social media handles. So she can answer your question over there. And she is also very active in community as well, Power BI community. So you can also put the question in the community as well.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you everyone for attending this session. And yeah, I really like those Power Apps question, and especially that my configuration of the machine. Next time I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, I think my machine is pretty good configured with pretty good configuration. And also I was not using any heavy data set, guys, so don't judge Power BI's performance based on the machine right now, because yeah, I was using a very anonymous data. So yeah. And yeah, please feel to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter if you guys have any questions, and even you can reach out to me on Power BI community. So yeah. And yes, I will share this deck and the Power BI file which I just created with Prince or Dhruvin. So you guys can maybe, share it somewhere where these guys can just access it.
Sure, Pragati.
And thanks, Pragati. Thanks a lot for having for giving us a great knowledgeable session across.
Yeah, hopefully it helped everyone. So yeah, thank you. Thanks guys for inviting me for the session.
Yeah, and I think the people are giving us new objectives of learning something more. Power apps now. I think next time.
Yeah, I think that is something I'll explore a lot, because in last session I remember someone asked me again on Power Apps, and that is something I've never explored. So maybe guys, I'll come with some Power App session for you soon.
Yeah. I think problem with us data guys is that we don't usually tend to go with visualization, so-called Power Apps, and we are more into data systems across. I think it's same with you as well and with me as well. So sometimes that's why I always look for Dhruvin. Where are you? Someone is asking Power Apps.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys, and yeah,
thanks,
good luck. I think Hashim has his next session.
Yeah,
good luck, Hashim. Okay, thank you guys. Bye. Have a great day or great evening.
All right, guys. So now we have our next speaker with us. I would like to welcome Hasham on this particular event. So before we get started, let me just talk few things about Hasham. So he's from UAE, and he's a BI and cloud architect. He's also program committee tech leader for Pass Summit. So, Hasham, a very warm welcome to this particular event. So, first of all, how are you?
Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are from the which part of the world you are. And I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Sorry, I joined you guys a bit late because it's the weekend, and it's difficult. And I have some back-to-back sessions today as well, so I need to keep myself fresh till end of the day. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the Pragati session, and I loved her session as well because button bookmark tricks, the tricks she showed it.
Yes, yes. So, Hasham, for today's session, if we talk about what we are going to cover in this session, if you can just give us a little bit idea on that.
Okay, so today's session is mostly for the intermediate or basic Power BI user or functional users like sales manager, or you could say people who want to analyze their KPIs, different KPIs. So what we will be doing in today's session, we will be actually having some different charts. So I will just share my screen and maybe let me know if I can present. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Hasham.
Okay, so I'm in the presenter mode. So let's say, and so we will try to have something objective like this. So we will have a sales dashboard where actually a sales manager can go and they can analyze the sales of different departmental stores or different area regions. So we will be using a supermarket sales data, and then we will try to have come up with some kind of different KPIs like sales year over year increase, average order size, average sales, and then we can try to predict out the patterns and draw the patterns like, okay, where we are performing on where we are lacking. So we will have some kind of this charts which we will have at the end of our session. So we'll be developing a dashboard today.
All right, all right. Thanks, Hasham, for this quick overview of the session. So now, without spending more time for the introduction, you can go ahead and get started with your session.
Okay, so hi everyone, this is Hasham Niaz. Welcome here for the Power BI Philippines Day, and thanks for taking your time out and joining my session. So here is my brief introduction. You can just read it out, and you can connect me on LinkedIn, social media, Twitter, and you can email me as well. So here are a few things. Now let's move to the good part of the session where we have, like I'll be using this Power BI desktop file, which is you can download this Power BI desktop software from this URL, and the sample data is already published on this URL. So if you want to follow the session, you can follow the session as well. Okay, now the first part, now we have our session. We have actually break this down into four different segments. First part is like data preparation. Second parts we will create some more some charts, and the third parts we will create some more advanced chart, and the final part we will do the report layout thing. So this is how, and this will be our final objective, that okay, we are going for this final objective, or we are going for either this final objective. Both are pretty much similar, so we will try to achieve one of those. So I have I have with me the Power BI file. Here you can see I have already loaded the data here, just to save time, because I think we have 45 minutes here, right?
Yes, Hasham.
Okay, so this Power BI file contains sales data from UAE, different supermarkets. So this has the, you could say, the attributes at country, city, customer type, gender, product line, unit price. So these are different attributes in this sales data file. And I have loaded these, so these data files. So currently we have 4-5 data files available here. Like for every year or every week, you could say we have received a new file. So I have uploaded all those files into my SharePoint site, which I'll be using for the connection. So I have used to upload all those Excel files, because the sales data comes through the Excel. So I have loaded those into my SharePoint. And then from SharePoint Online, I have actually connected my using this connection, Power BI connection called SharePoint Online folder. I have used this connection to load all the data. So I have used this one, right? This connection. So if you click on connect, it will ask you for the URL, and later on it will ask you the credentials. So to just save the time on that part, I have actually already loaded the data. So we can focus more on the second part and the third part of the exercise, where we are finally going to make some. Okay. So now let me turn off my video for a bit, so you guys can see my screen better, and then let's try to go to the slide where it says what are the different kinds of exercises. So we have kind of loaded the data, and we will just check quickly, briefly check the data, modeling some, and the data quality. So let's go back here. So since we have already loaded the data, now let's try to go to some data quality issues. So to check some data quality issues, we'll go to transform data, and this is our data. So if you click here, you'll see there are different column profiling options available here. So first one is column quality, which actually shows me, okay, the number of valid rows in this particular data set. So this is showing me, okay, all the data set is valid. So if I have some null values or blank values, it will say that, okay, this many percentage in my column is empty or error rows. So currently all my data set is valid, it is showing. And then we have other column called column distribution, which actually shows how much number of unique and distinct values amongst my data set. So this is actually, you can see in city, we have 3 different distinct values. So these are some of the different methods you can check. And then we have the column profiling as well. So column profiling is when I click any column, it will show me the number of rows and the number of empty and error rows and unique and distinct value. Also, you can click, currently this column profiling is based on top 1000 rows. You can turn this on to the entire data set. So if you want to profile based on entire data set, you can change this on as well. So we have done the column profiling thing. Now let's go close and apply. So we have applied the changes here. And now let's try to build some, let's try to investigate, okay, what our sales look like, what our sales data look like. It might take a few minutes for this pop-up to actually go away, because this is currently loading the data. Yes, so we are fine with it. Let's save our file. It's always a good practice to save your file, the Power BI file, just to do not lose your data. So I click this sales because this is my sales. So currently this is showing me sales as 4.6 million, right? How about if I want to see, okay, year by year sales or month by month sales for each particular month? So currently I don't have this ability, or what I can do, I can actually click on this one thing called date, which is a date column here, and then I move it to the slicer, and I could say, okay, for 2021, show me the sales. So for 2021, this is the sales. For 2022, this is the sales. 2019, this is the sales. Now, keeping this in mind, it's always a good practice to actually create a date dimension in your data model. So I have this one available here with me. So I will use the calendar table to create a date dimension. So I will just provide a reason why it is necessary. So whenever you want to do year over year, month over month, and year to date, quarter to date, month to date, these kind of time intelligence function, you need a date dimension with continuous date. So currently this says data, this does not have the continuous date. The problem with this will not calculate your time intelligence function, will not work properly on that. So I will create a date dimension first. So to create a date dimension, I will go here and I will create a new table. And then I will just copy paste the simple statement, which is called, I'm using a calendar function, and I'm saying that, okay, my start date will be 2018 January 01, and then my end date would be 2021 December 31st. So once I created this, click on the syntax. So it's actually create a calendar table. Now I want to link this calendar table. So if I click on this calendar table and I provide this here, and I make it to a slicer, you see this sales does not change. So to make it both table connected, so I can filter it out based on my calendar selection, what I will do, I will create a relationship. So my relationship should be from calendar table, the sales table, and based on which field, so I will say calendar, and then I have a sales date. So I'm connecting this column using the one-to-many cardinality, and cross filter direction is single, right? Always make sure you cross filter direction is single unless you know what the both means. Okay, and you make this relationship active. So once I click on those, and you will see now I start filtering the sales as well. So you see my total sales is 4.64 million, and then I can actually filter it out based on my calendar dimension. Let's go to the chat. Okay, so I will send you, maybe the links is expired, so I will just send you the new link after this session. Okay, so this is how we create a simple, we link our fact table, which is a sales table, with our date dimension. So I have loaded this one, and now let's try to move on, and let's try to build some charts, and let's try to create some measures. So there is a basic difference between measure, implicit measure, and the explicit measures. So let's say this actually is showing me the sales, right? When I click on this column and I click here, drag and drop here, and you see I'm using the sum aggregation, and this is actually showing me the sales amount, right? But how about if I want to reuse this calculation? So every time I can drag and drop this column, and every time I need to provide that which aggregation I want to use. So to overcome this, we have a way where we can create measures in Power BI. So to create a measure in Power BI, you can use either Home tab and click on New Measure. You can go to the Modeling tab, click on New Measure, or you can right click on any table and click on New Measure, or you can go to Modeling ribbon and then you can click on New Measure as well. So there are many different ways to create a new measure. So here you can create a new measure as well on from the tabular view. Okay, so let's try to create a new measure here. So I will create a new measure called sales. So and this will be a very simple measure called underscore sales, and I will say sales would be sum of sales. So I have the sales column in my data model, so I'm just summing it up, and I say okay, click here, and what I will do, I will set the formatting of this column, and I will say okay. So once I click this one and I put it here into the card visual, so there are different visuals, so you can see I almost have the same calculations available here. But the advantage of this calculation is sales calculation is I can reuse it and I can actually extend on this calculation, right? So let's try to, and one thing I would usually do is I organize my tables. So I will use this called a new table here. And I could say this table name is underscore measures. So I will organize all my measures into this particular table. Why I use this underscore measures? So it will be always on top. And if I go on, click on here on sales measure and click on to the modeling tab. Hold on. Let's see if okay, maybe we'll just go here and see. Okay, we can change actually because currently this is available in the, so yeah. So when I click on this sales measure, I can change the home table. So I can move this measure around from one table to another. So I can actually move us to the measure table, and now this is actually been aligned this, and I can hide this column here. So this will no more because I don't require this column one. Okay. So I do not need this one. Now let's try to build, because currently we have our first chart available, which is actually showing the sales. So how about if we create some more measures to show average amount and average order size, things like that. So let's try to create few more measure. So I will create a new measure called, click on new measure, this thing, and I will say underscore orders, or maybe you could say number of orders, and then I can simply say count rows, because I expect that each row in my data model is actually representing a single order. So that's how I create a new orders thing. And then if I want to create the average size of the sales, so what I can do, I can say average sales. What is the average sales? So I can simply divide my sales. So you know the reason why I use, so I can reuse this one and with number of orders. So this is how we can actually have this one. So I can have this and I can format this. So this gives me the average sales size as well. So I divide the total sales with the number of orders, so it will give me average sales or per order sales, like how much sales I generate per order. So I created this measure. Now let's try to build some chart, because what we are trying to follow up here is we are trying to build something like this. Let's go back. Something like this, where we have average order size and thing like that. So going back, so what I can do, my first chart is actually asking, the first exercise was actually asking me to create a sales, number of sales and order measure, and then create a visual to show sales order by city. So I will try to create some here sales. So I have the city attribute here. So I will plot the city attribute, and then I can actually turn my number of orders and my sales here, and I can put this average sales here as well. So almost I have created the same. Let's see. So you click here, then I can get a name on it. Okay. Uh, so we will go to the question section. In between, I will take a 5-minute break and we will try to answer all the questions. So we have created a chart, but this is nowhere near to our end thing. So how we can actually have this one more aligned. So to do this, what I can go here and I could go to the style and I'd say, okay, I don't want to apply any styling. And then on the grid, I can go and I say, okay, increase the row padding to this. And then I would go onto the subtotal and I turn off subtotal for rows and columns as well. So this is more like it. So this is more like it. And then let's try to have some formatting apply. So I will go here into the field formatting, and I would say the alignment should be, rather than auto, it should be center. And I can do this for all the other things as well. Average says this should be center aligned, and my says should be auto. So I have this one available, right? And then what I can do is I can go to the conditional formatting, and then I would say for sales, I need to turn on the data bars. So I can have this data bar available here as well. And for the field formatting for sales, I would say display unit should be 1000. So I could save some space. So now you see I have not very close, but I have something close enough, right? So let's try to make over this as well. So what I will do, I will go here and I will adjust my row headers and font as well. So I can quickly change the font here rather than changing the font color and things like here. So what I would usually do, I would go to my themes format, view, I will go to my themes and I will customize my current theme here directly. So I would say, okay, this is my sales theme, color, and then I will just copy this one for now, and I will paste this as well second. So everything is now black. Now the text size, I would say the default text size should be 14, title should be 16, and card KPI should be 20. Okay, so I have changed these things, and you can apply. Once I apply, you can see this is more visible. I can read. This has become more readable. If you want to adjust something else, like you can go again here and you can click on customize current theme, and like if you want to adjust the size, okay, like this 14 is too big, you can adjust this as well, right? So I have adjusted the size as well. Now we have almost finished with our chart one. Let's try to save it. Let's try to build some more charts, and let's try to have this top pane available here, slicer pane available here. So I will take a 2-minute break just for you to read out the questions, so we can actually try to answer those questions as well. Meanwhile, I am just trying to adjusting the slicer. Dhruvin, you can read out the question if we have some questions. So you can read out those questions as well.
Sure, Hasham. Just give me a moment. Okay, Bilal has one question in the chat window that you click here and then can I get a name on a text box you created that this year data, if month, then it will
Yes.
show month data. So this is the question.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. So you want like I think let me repeat the question. So he wants a functionality where I click on this 2019 or 2020 year, so he can have a text box where he can show okay 2020 selected. So I can have this very easy way. So I create a measure here, right click, create a new measure, and I would say equals to year selected. Year selected, and I would use a function called selected value, and I will pick up from this one, and this time I would say whatever the year I have selected. So let's try to have this, and let's try to put this measure rather than the text box, use the card visual. So you can see, and if I can hide this category label, so you can see this one, and then you can overlay it with your text visual like this year is selected. So when I select 2019, this is changing. So you can have this as a card visual, and then on top of that, side of that, you can have like year selection, something like that. You can have it like this, right? Year selection 2018. So you want something like this. Also, if I remember correctly, I can use the values here, and I can use the value called max of year, something like that. So if I have created those variable, I can use those. So you can use either this selected value method or the one which is available. So hope I answered your question, Bilal.
Yes.
If you
One.
want the month selection, so I can simply have, rather than here, I can simply say, okay, this is the month, and let's say currently this will not show anything blank because I haven't selected any month, but if I select month here, it will show the month. And if you want to concatenate, you can actually extend on and then show the concatenated month's name as well. So let me remove this one. Let's try to have some more you could say inside to this. So I will just try to have this text box available here, and I can say this text box to show my title. So sales dashboard. So this will be my sales dashboard, and I can make different font size. Okay, and you can always go here and say how do you do this? Okay, so we have this one available, and then also if you want, you can actually do some kind of a magic here. So I will turn this font to white and then the background to light blue. Sorry, something else has happened. So I'll say if my font is this, and you can actually have the background set as well. So if I go to the background, I can set the background to this one, right? So this is like this. Now if I go here, I can actually make this ear parameter more aligned towards the top. So now I'm trying to do some kind of adjustments here. Let's say max position is 210. White 10. Width is 460. And height is 80. So I have this one available here, 90. Sorry, I can actually change this to drop down, and so this is my ear. And to get rid of this thing, I would usually do what I do. I turn off the slicer header and I turn on the title, and for the title I could say this is ear, and then I can align. Also, if I go back here, rather than doing it on the every individual chart, I can go here and customize the current theme, and then I could say this background. I can usually set this background, yes, visual, and then the background I can actually select the background or the header background for the visual is, if I want, I can set this header background to be simple this color. If I copy this color for now, okay, sorry, oh, so let's do it for now here. So I will do it like this, and then I will try to copy paste it. So I have created this chart. This is called ear. Go back, remove this one. Just I will use the copy paste thing just to have the same formatting, and then I'll move it by this many place, and then this should be 10. And if I go here on the top, like this is year, I don't want this to be year, I want this to be month. So I can click here and go back doing the date hierarchy, and I can do it like this. And then also one thing I want to show you here is like this is called vertic. Okay, so if I turn this on, selection slider on, and then I could say something like general. This has okay, currently this is not showing. Let's delete it for now, and I click here, and I would only say okay, select month, slicer, and on the journal I would say orientation, yeah, this one, and I will say this to change this to horizontal. So I could have this many months, and I need to get rid of this blank, so I will simply put this year, date on to all pages of the report, and then I just say I need to select everything, and I would say this simply is not blank. So once I click this one, why this is still coming, filter advanced, and date is not blank. It should actually remove this one, but I will just make sure why it is still coming. Also there is one more thing. So we have around we have arranged this one for now. We have different months available here, and then actually we can try to save this one, and we can put some shapes out here just to see. Okay, this is my segment, so I will say this should be 10, 1270, which is correct, and then this position should be 100. And I will do some minor adjustments here, right? And the color should not be this one. The color should be black. So I have this top bit almost ready, and then I can go back here. I can turn off this selection. I will turn on this one called month, and I can do the same for here as well. Middle align, background this, font is this, right? Which is much more aligned. So I have done this one, and now I think we have 20 minutes left. So we will try to quickly fill the chart, what the different KPIs will look like, and how we will do it. So we have almost done this, and now our most of the part of exercise would be just try to copy paste these things, and then we'll move on. So let's say we have this one available already here, and if I want to hide all these charts, and I want to use the shapes here rather than these, so this would be more self. So I can insert the images. So I have already some images available, so I can insert this image. This is called dollar. So I can put this like here, and if I want, I can do it simple like 50-50, which is going to be very small image, and then I can overlay it. And same, I can do insert some images for the number of orders here as well. So I have this number of orders here, and I can do the same thing for it as well. We can later on adjust the size. So I have this one, these two images, and now if I want to hide this chart, and let's try to beautify this a bit more, and let's say 120 is fine, 140 is fine. So let's say I have this chart available, and I try to adjust the red to call 400 or something, 420, which is fine, and 240. So I have these things available. I have made this one, and then if I go here on my field formatting, and this time I choose this both background and font color to be white, and if I go here to my row header into my column header, and if I change this column header to white, so actually this thing disappeared, which is fine with me. And if I click here, put this one out here, and put this image out here as well, I can actually see these two things side by side. And if I can remove, if I go to the chart, and let's say if I remove this one, average sales for now, so I almost have these two things. Only problem is like this got hidden, so I will adjust those through the slicer pane. Like I have this view, and then I can select the selection pane, and then actually I can define the label of these. So I can say this is order logo or order image. This is sales logo or sales image. So I can have this one. I have this, I can say this is line shape. So this, I can align these orders. So this is my year. Text box would be dashboard title, I would say. So I'm just trying to organize. So this is my order logo, and then if I say this is my city sales, so if I have this one available here, so you could see now, and then my line shape is clear. So everything should be aligned, and I need to move the city by sales, so order should be always up. So I have just aligned this one for now, and I can just let you guys see it. And then if I want to see year over year increase sales, so I can quickly go here. Rather than creating a measure myself, I can use the quick measure thing, and I can create year over year change, and this time I provide my sales. So my sales measure is residing here. So I say, okay, calculate my sales, and then I click OK. So this actually creates a year-over-year sales measure. Okay, I think I have generated, I have clicked on the round calculation. So let's click here. I need to create year-over-year sales. So I clicked on this one. So rather than clicking on this one, I need to create year-over-year. And this time again using the same things. So I will use the sales and I will use the date, right? So once I click on this, it creates a sales year-over-year measure for me. And then you can say all the text is already written out for me. I can change the home table from calendar to measure. So I will have this organized, and I will organize this, and then I can actually put this year-over-year sales here in the table. And why it's showing blank? Because I haven't selected anything. So I need to select this year filter here first. And why it's calendar date -1, which is correct. This should now work. How about this? Okay, I think let's go back to the data transform data set, and let's try to see why this is not working. So if I go to the sales and my date, and if I try to find out what is this column, so currently this is date data type. This should work. I will go back here into my model. I will try to read primary date column. Okay, why this is not working? So I need to see here why this is not working. From model for now. Let's try to do one change here, and it's working fine. So ideally this should work, but this quick measure doesn't work. So I just need to fix it, and then I can insert one more image here. So I go to insert, and then I would say insert image, and I have this percentage year-over-year increase, and I can simply have this image here 50-50. This is the size I have, and I can simply put this one. So I have this image, and then I can just quickly like turn it on here, right? So which is cool, which is like which is near to what we want to achieve. Okay, also this one I think you guys don't like it inside the box. So if I go to the conditional formatting thing and I select the sales, and for the data bars I could say bar, I can change the direction of the bar. Also one thing I can do is like from here sales, I can increase the size of this one for now. Okay, so we have these things available. So let me save this one, and I can close and apply. I haven't changed anything. I just fixed the quick formula here, quick measure formula here. So I have done this one, which is now we have passed 40 minutes. So now if you want to calculate some more things, so how we can do it, we can just simply use this one, copy paste, and I have pasted this one. And then if I want to calculate something similar for the product line, so how I can simply do it, I rather than city, I simply remove my city with my product lines, and I can have this one for now, and I can simply say this time I don't need year-over-year sales, and I can have everything else. So usually you can sort this by your sales. So, and this should be your descending order. You can set this out, and then this is your product sales. I can just try to arrange this one for now, 10, and then okay, and then the word should be same. Height should be similar as well, 300. Okay, always make sure you don't have much. So I have aligned this chart. Let's save it for now. Now I will do few more things here. I will insert some shapes here. I will insert some line, and this time I can rotate this line to a 90-degree. So this should be more vertical, and again change this to light gray color this time, and we can have this line adjusted as well. So you can see I can quickly organize things here. I can copy paste here to just more clear that okay, this is one section of the chart. So if I want some more sections, like I want this to be categorized as you could say year-over-year sales. So I have categorized this by month, and if I want, I can simply copy paste this one for now, and I can have it here, like arrange it like here, which is simple enough. And then this time, rather than having it aligned by product category, I want this to be based on like we have city, we have this based on customer type or the payment type. So how about if I change it to the payment method? So which is fine. So I can see this number of payment methods are there. How about this is not more intuitive if I add some images, more images here as well. So I could create a simple calculated field. So you can have something like this. So I would create a simple payment image or product line image. So I have this simple thing where I create a new calculated field. So new column, and this actually shows me the payment image, and I try to put this image here, and let's try to cache. I need to change this column type. Sorry, I need to change this column type to the web URL categorized. So image URL. So Power BI can actually render this as an image, and you can see now I can have this much things available here as well. So I can still see this is sorted based on sales. So for cash, I have the most number of. And then one more thing, if I want, I can simply copy paste this thing here, and so I have this one aligned here as well, and then I can simply copy paste this thing here and moving this to another location, some more. So this should be 856, 880, something like that. Okay, so this is my third chart. Now my third chart, I want this to be based on the customer type. So we might have different type of customers. So I can remove, and I can say, okay, this is my customer type. So I can have this one like this, based so my customer type, or I can make this chart based on some other things called here based, because we have city, we have this one. How about if I add this to more flavor, and I say this time rather than having this kind of thing, I would create something similar here. New column, and rather than sales payment method, I would say this as product line. So once I click this one, and then so this is saying me that this is already available. So I need to change the column, and I need to categorize this column as an image URL. So Power BI can render this as an image, And rather than this time, let's try to put up this here. So how about this? So if I have this product line available, and then I have this product image available. So I can remove this for now, get rid of this for now. So you can see I have this product images available here, and I can sort this out, sort out by sales. So I have these charts ready with me, right? So this is like I can see, and if I want one more thing here, so I can actually filter it out by city. I can rather right click on these cities as well, or maybe I have one more intuitive way. So I can click city here, and then rather than having this as a map visual, what if I change this to something called chart, this one, the donut, and then I can actually have detail labels turned off. I will have title, background, everything turned off. And then legend alignment, I would say this to be bottom center, which is correct for me. And then, or maybe I can have this one as left, but this is not coming up, right? So bottom center is fine. The title, I need to turn this off, right? So I can have all those three cities available here. So if I click this one like this and just try to adjust the positioning here, so and this should be 1030 something here.
Okay.
Yes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Fine. We are done. Almost done. So once I click this one, so we have almost finished up all the things. So if I click on this, I can only see Abu Dhabi sales. If I click on Dubai, I can see this analysis. And if I click, so I can use this as a filter as well, rather than having, and if I want to select this one. So I have this one. With this, we have almost finished up all our session. And if I want, you see, this is most interactive. I can have this one like 2019 sales. If I want, I can compare it with 2021 sales. If I want to compare, see any specific month, I can select this month. I have these things available here. If I want to publish, I can simply publish, click on this publish button, and then this is a one-click publish button thing. Okay, if anyone of you want to see something extra, so what I have done here is I have this Excel file here with me, and you might be wondering what this is. So this is actually showing me like, okay, which city is dominating in the sales. So I have done it through some DAX. So I have written some custom DAX, so which is called dominance. I have created a measure, and I'm comparing every city sales, like which city sales is greater. And then I just place this measure here. And rather than placing the measure value 1, 2, 3, what I did, if I click on this chart, what I did is I go to the conditional formatting, and this is kind of advanced conditional formatting. And then I go select this column, which is my dominance measure, and then I turn the rules here. So if this is 1, then use this color, 2, this use color, and 3, use this color. And these color are significant of these cities. So if I select this one, Abu Dhabi, you will see all this will come as blue. If I select as this blue, this all comes as Dubai, and this all comes as Sharjah. But if I unselect everything, so what will happen is like this is actually showing me which city is dominating in which particular area. And you can do this for multiple things as well. Like I might have, like, you can use this as in your, so if I want to know that this particular payment method is preferred with this Sharjah city, credit card is most preferred in Abu Dhabi, and e-wallet is most preferred in Dubai. So, and same, I can do it for product lines as well. I can do it for many other things. So with this, we have finished this session. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we have something filled up and something we call the report theme here as well. We can rename this as sales page, and if we try to publish, we can publish. If you want to add some more buttons, bookmarks, you can feel free to add it. So with this, we will close our session for today. And this is how you can create a simple dashboard, one-pager dashboard with 40-45 minutes time spent. Any question
Thanks,
So I'm
Hashim.
stop sharing my screen, and then we'll welcome your questions.
Yeah,
Let's
Hashim,
turn
that's why
on
I'm
the video.
saying we are not going to let you go like this much so easily. So there will be a lot of questions from YouTube as well as here as well. Dhruvin?
Yes. Hasham, thank you so much for this wonderful session, first of all. We have one question on YouTube that can selected value return multiple values? Like if someone selects multiple values from the slicer, so can we show those multiple values as well?
Okay. Okay. So let me answer this question. Let me share my screen again. Sorry, I turned it off quickly. So let me go back and share my screen. Let me know if you guys can share the screen, see the screen. Okay. So the question is like, let me
We can.
duplicate this. Okay. So let me duplicate this page. So I have this page available here. Let me remove this one for now. So the question is like, if I select these two values, like this one and this one. So the
Yes.
selected value can actually show this value. No, actually it does not. It will not show this one. But what it will do is like, okay, have this measure, already have this measure. So if I place this measure up here and I say, place this on the card. So actually this is showing me blank. Okay. So what I need some kind of concatenation. I need to use a concatenate function, and then I can actually wrap this around. Or maybe one thing is, if I remember correctly, yeah, values. So the values will have, you can use the values function. So what it does, it returns actually the multiple values if we have, and then actually I can use this value measure into my concatenate function. Let's try to have this one for now. Let's see what it returns. So it returns actually the multiple values. Okay. And then you can actually nest this around your concatenate function. A similar thing which you do in your SQL when you try to nest comma separated values. So I will just post this on the forum as well, the answer to this. So you'll use actually the value function, and then you will concatenate it. So you can combine list of March, April, and thing like that.
All right. Thanks a lot, Harsham, for the answer. Second thing is most of the people are asking about the correct link for this data download and to prepare this sample Power BI report. So even if you can provide us the correct link, that
Okay,
would be great.
okay, I can put this into the chat right now and see if anyone can access this link. I'm not sure. So I have put this link here. All the data is available here. Let's see if you guys are facing this challenge. So I will then need to move this dataset to some. I think this dataset I have already given to Prince as already, but let me know if you need.
All right, all right. No worries. Thanks. Apart
Hashim,
from
I think it's not still not working. I think it's some access issue.
Yeah,
Hashim, can you put it to us? We'll put it on the Teams.
yeah, yeah. I
Just
will.
send
I
it.
will email you.
Yeah, thanks,
I will email
thanks.
you.
all right. So apart from that, I think for YouTube we are good. Prince, anything question from your side? Feel free to ask here. I think.
Dhruvin, there's nothing on the teams as well, but I think initially they had a lot of questions. So they were asking about Hashim. Generally, Hashim, like if we see this dashboard, these so-called pictures, can it dynamically change? So, for example, if we see some there are some 8 or 10 categories, and we just want to show 2 or 3 in front, and then we change the filter to show other 2 or 3. Can can it then
Yes,
dynamically change
yes.
without with the
Yes,
pictures
yes.
as well?
This thing which I created here, this is actually picking up the dynamic pictures. Like, okay, let's suppose we have a filter here on food and beverages. So the food and beverages, so this actually showing the food and beverages picture. And if I want to select this one, this will only show this. And same for the cache method as well. If I select something called food beverages, so and I select this one, so this is totally dynamic. So if you see what it is doing now, it is actually going into the table, and this is actually creating this URL, the dynamic URL against those categories. So you can have this against your dimension table. So currently I don't have a separate dimension table, so I created this into the my fact, but you can create this on your dimension tables. Like you have a product line dimension, you can have a city dimension, so you can have those images available, and these images are actually picking up nothing else. So if I copy this statement here, so let's say I can copy this one, and I go into my browser and I click on it. This is too much. I think this copied all the data. So we need something simple. Okay, let me go here. So what it is doing is like, okay, let's copy till this part, and then we can copy later on. So I have this one, and then what I'm doing, whatever the image is, like images if cache, so this will be like this. So this is actually bringing, if it's e wallet, this could be like this. If I say prince, oh, let's try to type. Okay, Dhruvin. So all these images, Dhruvin, this is your childhood image.
You're too smart.
So this is like picking up all the images. Let's try to find some famous Marco Russo. So this will find him. Oh, and Rosa Red. Let's try to find him. Oh, it's today is like, let's try to find Hasham Niaz. What it brings? Oh, good. So it's working fine.
It brings you for sure.
Pragati Jain. Let's try. Oh, and Naveen. We have Naveen as well. This is his picture, Naveen picture. So actually it's going to the web and going to the Bing store web and trying to find all those combinations which are available. And this is, but usually when you work, like I work for like, I have built something called for Formula One. So I can simply say brand name, and then I can have this picture. So I don't need to enter those pictures as well. So that's it. I think I have answered your question.
Yes, that definitely. I'm gonna try something.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks.
Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks. We enjoyed it truly, like anything. Hashim, just share the material. I think people are gonna love to work on it, and then they can guys, you can always reach out to Hashim on LinkedIn, Twitter, and he's very active. He usually answers very quickly, so you guys can reach out to him, and he will be more than happy to answer your any queries from you guys. Thanks, Hashim. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. I will stay up here and answer a few questions on the chat, and then I will leave.
Sure. Thanks, Hashim. Bye. Okay. I think I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm starting the recording again so that at least each sessions can have different all the recording. Hi Naveen.
Hi Prince. Hi Dhruvin.
Hi. Welcome to Power BI Philippines user community group.
Thank you.
Yeah. So guys, I'll just give a brief introduction about Naveen. He's my mentor. He has taught me a lot of things from my starting of my career. He's been with me in a lot of companies together. We have worked. We never got to work with each other, but he taught me a lot from without even working together. So you can imagine, I learned a lot from his codings from my first project till now. So he's a BI architect. He has been with the BI technologies for more than 12, I think more than 14 years now, and have been very active member, actively at least teaching, making us learn a lot from outside perspective. But we welcome him today, and today his session is more on Azure Synapse and Power BI analytics, how we can have a combination of both to make our life more easy. So hi Naveen, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for asking.
Yeah,
I hope
yeah. So
I'm audible enough, right?
yeah, audible enough. So, Naveen, if you can just brief the audience exactly what is the topic all about, and how we're gonna go about the session, and then the stage is all yours.
All right, thank you. Yes, this is the agenda for today, and I just want to know how much time we have. Is it till 6:30 or
No, no,
can
you
it
can
be?
you can go ahead. You can go ahead. It's there's no it's fine.
All right, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the agenda for today. We will go ahead in the detail of what is really a dedicated pool and how we reach up to this stage, and we'll go through the overview of Azure Synapse. Then we'll discuss its architecture. We will have a Polybase demo. We have 4 demo planned for today. The very first one is Polybase, and then we will see how the distributed tables work within Synapse, and how the different features within Azure Synapse work to provide a seamless connection, and how much memory allocations is provided to each resource. We'll have CTAS demo. We'll have a Power BI demo. So that's the agenda for today. All right, we can start, right?
Yeah, it's all
Yes,
stage is all yours. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So I'll very quickly skim through all these slides because we have a lot to cover on the demo. So there are 2-3 important topics that I really need to provide more details on the slides. So we will just focus on those slides. So about me, it's been 15 years in the IT industry, working as a BI architect, as a data warehouse lead, but mostly as a senior BI consultant and then a BI architect. Worked with my, various banking and financial institutions and some consulting firms as well. Currently working as a specialist in data warehousing and reporting, purely on the Azure platform. And of course, contributing to Microsoft community, and more importantly, I'm a lifelong learner. So before we start here, thanks to Mr. Satya Nadella for uh, making Microsoft what it is today. And let's start with our dedicated SQL pool journey. So yeah, this is the very important slide. And what I really want to emphasize here is how we reach up to a stage which is called dedicated SQL pool. So before Azure Cloud, what we were having was analytics platform system, which is called parallel data warehouse. So here there was no cloud, but there were simply appliances. Some organization has to go and physically buy all these hardware, and there will be a series of VMs that they will be purchasing, and they will be installing their own hardware, and that's how they will set up their parallel data warehouse. And with Azure World, that's the very first time they provided it as a platform, as an application, and this was called Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Now, in my previous roles, I've implemented a data warehouse from this moment. So that's what it was called earlier, and then they rebranded it with Azure Synapse. It was not called Azure Synapse Analytics earlier, but it was just Azure Synapse. But that was the branding that they want to follow for a bigger platform, which is Azure Synapse Analytics. So this is what it is currently today. But with Azure Synapse Analytics, that's more of a workspace and more of a studio experience. And it also has one part which is called dedicated SQL pool. So from Azure SQL Data Warehouse to Azure Synapse, where it reaches today is dedicated SQL pool. And dedicated SQL pool is just part of the workspace which Azure Synapse Studio provide. So let's just look at the dedicated SQL pool. So what we will be going through today is this piece. Now, this is just one part of that entire Synapse Analytics platform. Synapse, other than the dedicated SQL pool, it has serverless SQL pool. It also have all those clusters that you want to run on Apache Spark, or even you can use your Databricks cluster. You just integrate with any of your data lake and call all this data using all these providers. Plus, it provides you the flexibility to type your SQL queries there directly and call your data lake, or even your own dedicated pools, bring the data there, and then perform a lot of queries within this workspace. It also have your data factory for the orchestration. It also has your Power BI integrator, so you can simply deploy your reports after all your data preparation directly into the studio. So that's more of a studio experience, which is called Azure Synapse Analytics. What we majorly focus is enterprise warehouse, or Azure Synapse, or SQL Data Warehouse, or dedicated SQL pool. So yeah, that's where we will focus. So let's quickly look at its architecture. So what Azure Synapse has is There's Azure storage behind the scene, and it is kept separately from all those compute nodes. So all the data reside in the storage layer, and then we have these different compute nodes which will work on this data. The good thing is in a distributed system in such a massive parallel processing engine, this entire storage is being kept separate from this compute node. So these compute nodes can be scaled. If let's say we are using 4 nodes now, we can scale it to 6 nodes. We can scale it to 10 nodes. There is a limit, which is I believe. I'm not sure. Maybe I think it's 300, but yes, we can very quickly check it during the demo. So these compute nodes can be scaled, and they will parallelly work as a one unit by using this control node. This control node take action on all these compute node and tell that how you have to process the data parallelly, and that's how this storage is being brought into picture by this compute node, and all this data is processed parallelly and brought as a one single unit of the data to the end users. And how this actually works is there are different distributed tables that you can create in these Synapse architecture. More importantly, Azure Synapse uses the concept of polybase. Polybase is nothing but how you can fetch data from external source systems, which is basically your data lake. And it's a very important concept in data virtualization. So through data virtualization, they will simply go to an external source, will connect to the data lake, will bring the data into the Synapse world without even actually replacing the data from the existing data lake, and then use it. And then it's purely our choice whether we want to save this data on a Synapse layer, or we just want to work on it by keeping it within the data lake. So our very first demo is on the polybase. So let's quickly look how using polybase we can query external data sources. And in this demo, we'll be connecting to Azure Data Lake. All right, before I show you in the database, let me show what are the resources that I've created as part of this demo. All right, so what I've done is I've created a resource group for this demo, and we have created 3 resources. We have our data lake, and within our data lake, I've created a So I've created a container, and this container holds this text file, and we'll see what is the data available in this text file. So it's a very simple employee file. I've just put 10 records here, and what we will do using Azure Synapse, we will query this particular file, and we'll bring this data into Azure Synapse. But actually, the data will still be in the file. We are just reading this data using Polybase in Azure Synapse. Another resource that I've created is our dedicated SQL pool. And this dedicated SQL pool will be hosted in its SQL server. So that's the server where it is being hosted. So this is our dedicated SQL pool, and I have only provided 2 data warehouse unit. What is data warehouse unit? That I'm going to explain in a few moments. So let's look at the database. So how Polybase is achieved? There is a step of there is a series of steps that we need to perform, and it will start with the master key creation within Azure Synapse Vault. So this I have already created because it requires a password. That password I'm not sharing here. So I've already executed the first 2 steps. So the first step is to create the master key, which is already done. Now the next step is to create a database scope credential. For the database scope credential, it requires the secret key for the data lake. Now this one I've just put a dummy one, but actually I've already created the database scope credential. What you can do is you can name your credential and give some identity and then provide this entire secret. I've just mentioned a description here that give your data lake storage container ID, but your key will look something like this. Now don't just take a screenshot of this key because I put a dummy details here. So once this is done, the next step is to create a data source, which is an external data source. What it requires a location of your data lake. This is our demo container, which I showed you. So this file basically is under the demo container, which is the very first container in our data lake. So that's the first location that we will provide. This is our data lake endpoint. Now this endpoint is for the blob container. If you are using a table storage, if you are using let's just say uh, queues or another file system, then the endpoint will differ. We are using ABFSS as this entire location because we are using secure file transfer. If it's not secure and you want to use it HTTP rather than HTTPS, you can remove the S from here. So let's create our external data source, and the type is Hadoop because even the Microsoft Azure Data Lake, even though it's a hierarchical namespace because we created it as Data Lake Storage version 2, but underneath it's the Hadoop distributed file system, and that's why the type is Hadoop. And to make it as a hierarchical namespace for the data lake, there is just one property within the container that you will set up. So now we are going to create this external data source, and this same data source we will use further in our external table when we will create. This is just to tell Synapse that, okay, this is the location where the data is residing, and from there we are picking up the data. So I created a connection to our data lake now. Now I'll be defining the file format. Now there are 6 or 7 data file formats that is supported as of now, and of course you will find a text file, CSV file in pretty much every world. And I'm going to take the example of text format file here, but I do have connections for Parquet format or ORC format, and actually these formats are much easier to create. The reason is the data is already stored in a columnar format in these file format. So if I'm using, let's say, Parquet, so data is already compressed and it's already columnar, which gives less hurdle as part of dealing with the data. Because when you deal with the text format, you have to provide a lot of detail in terms of what's the field terminator that you're using, what's the string delimiter you're using, or which is the first row where the data will start, or any other properties that you have in a CSV or text file. So let's still go with the text file format, and you can also define the compression if you're using. We are going with the default compression. So now I'm creating an external file format, which is also done. Now if you see, we have defined the master key, we have defined the credential, we have defined the data source, we have also defined our file format. Let's just create an external table now. Now this external table, we are defining all the fields from the file. We are defining the location in the container. So the demo container is already defined. After the demo container, if you have multiple folders, we can keep defining those folders here. For the purpose of this demo, I have put the file directly in the main container folder, which is this container. And this is the file, the test_employee.txt file that we will be calling. Which is the data source? This is the data source that we just created. And we are using this file format. Reject type value and reject value. These are the properties within Polybase. You can define that, okay, if there is bad data within my file, what percentage or what number of records that I'm going to ignore. So let's create an external table first. So our external table is defined. And if you see within the Synapse world, you will find all these external sources defined here. So we created this data source. It will come under the external resources. This is the file format. And if we query this table that we created just now, we will get the output from that. So these are those 10 records. Now, the data that you see right now here in this window, this data is actually not in Synapse right now. The data still lies in the same text file, which is in the data lake. The data has not moved from the data lake yet. If we have to move this data, we can create our tables within the Synapse tables within the Synapse warehouse, and then we can bring this data and create our physical tables in Azure Synapse. Now, this is a very important concept in data virtualization. You can query external source systems and put up all your queries there, and can work with n number of files. It's just that your compute should be good enough to query all those files, and based on your data volume in each file, you just have to provide more compute to that, but you are actually not at all moving your data. So how to move the data, what are the different tables, we'll quickly look in the second demo. Let's quickly go through one more concept, that how different tables are defined within Azure Synapse. So for table types, there are two main concepts. One is the distributed table, and one is the replicated table. Distributed tables are also having two types. So the very first one is hash distributed tables. What it does in this table type is there is a non-distributed table, and for each compute node, we are basically uh, distributing it across all these compute nodes. So behind the scene in Azure Synapse, there are 60 databases, you can say, or 60 nodes. And this entire table will be distributed to all those nodes. So let's say if you just have 60 records and you define a hash function that how the data should be distributed. So one record will go in every single node. So that's why we say it hash distributed table, because the function or the hashing mechanism that you're using, that has to be deterministic. So you have to provide a particular column within your table which define that how the distribution will take place. So let's say if I'm distributing employee data and there are like 1,000 employees in my table, so I might pick up employee key as my hash distribution function, which will distribute my data across all these nodes evenly. Now, what are the good candidates for hash distributed tables? Your fact tables, or the tables which are more in size than 2 gigabyte. Those are the good candidates. The reason is the hash distributed table will provide you the biggest performance, and it's a very good candidate for joining an aggregation column. The second one is round robin distributed tables. Now here in round robin, you don't have a particular column that you can use for distribution. So you let the system choose itself what will be the good candidate, and it won't pick up a particular column, but it will create a buffer of rows, and then it will assign those buffers to all these compute nodes. So it need not to pick up a particular column. Internally, the system will figure out what is the total number of records that you want to distribute, and it will put it in a different segments within those buffers, and those buffers will be provided to the distributed tables. So that's how the name comes as round robin, because there was no deterministic hash function that they want to use. And we will see all these tables in action, that okay, what is those functions and how this is distributed. Now there is another concept which is called replicated table. In replicated table, what we do, we take the same table, and whatever compute nodes that we are using, we replicate the table. We take a copy of the same table and put it on each node. So if you have 100 records here, the same 100 records will be copied to this node. The same 100 records will be copied to this node. So let's say your table size is 500 MB. So same 500 MB will be going across these 4 nodes, which will make it close to 2 GB. So if you have a table which is lesser in size, and for which the data volume is not really a big head up in terms of Azure cost. Definitely the cost will increase once you replicate your table. But if the table is containing only, let's say, 100 records, then it's a good candidate for the replicate table. Round robin should be used when you are using using it for a temporary storage, or you are using it as a staging table. Then it's a good candidate to use round robin distribution. So as part of these tables, I'm using already existing table. I've used AdventureWorks sample database to fill up my Azure Synapse warehouse. And the very first example is for the hash distributed table. These are the 100 records that I'm using from the employee table. And to distribute them using employee key, I will use this hash function. My hash function will use the employee key column, and the by default index that will be created in Azure Synapse is clustered column store index. let's say you do not define this particular index, then the default one is clustered columnar index only. If you want to define your table as a heap, you have to specifically mention it as a heap. Then only it will be a heap table. If you don't, then the default will be clustered column store index only. Now, if I'll create this table, this is going to distribute all these 100 records in those 60 nodes based on this employee key. And this employee key is a good candidate because the number of unique values for this employee key is high. So there's a concept called data skew. So if your distribution column does not have unique values, or let's say less unique values, then the distribution will not be even. And some nodes will be having more data, some nodes will be having less data. So when the parallelism is performed and this data movement happens, let's say for a particular employee key, if we are hitting a particular distribution and that does not have all the data, so this data movement will happen. Or particularly when this parallelism will take in place, maybe only one node is active because the entire data is in that node. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a date ID which you put as a hash distribution. And if one user is looking at the data for a particular date, so it will hit only one node. Your rest of the nodes is not actively participating in that because those nodes does not have data for that particular date. So it's very important to choose your hash function here. So I'm just creating this table and you can find this data. Now, when I'm querying this data using this statement, actually all those nodes are working on this data and bringing this data so quickly. Now, for the part as for the purpose of this demo, you might not see that performance because I'm only using 100 records. But in our projects, we are using billions of records, and every day we are processing 5 to 7 millions of records. And if you work with that much data, you will find this performance with the hash distributed tables. Now, the same data can also be put into the round robin tables. And in this way, I am not defining my hash function. But this is a good candidate because I'm only using 100 records, which is still fine for it. And in this case, the system will figure out itself that how I have to cut it into different segments, what are the different buffer spaces that I have to put in. And whenever you're staging your data, then you can use round robin. Otherwise, it's never recommended for a even for a dimension or even for a fact table or for any of your warehouse table. Another good candidate for replicate table is your calendar dimensions maybe. So if I create this table, in this case, what is happening, the same table is being replicated across 3 different nodes, or basically based on your compute, if you are using 5 data warehouse units, so it will be the 5 nodes that it will be copied to. And if you see the tables in Azure Synapse now, you see even the table icon is different. The one that we are using for T hash, this is more of a distributed. So every distribution is kept separately. This is more of a round robin. So the table icon is different because if you see there is a very little yellow color which says that the distribution is taken care by the system itself. And if you see the replicated one, there's a copy of the same icon that is being pushed behind that, which says this is a replicated table. That's a good way to understand how your tables are distributed. And I believe the more you work with these tables and based on your data scenario, you will understand why a particular table is chosen for a particular scenario. Definitely there are pros and cons of each table, but as long as you understand that what is the purpose of each distribution, in which case we should use round robin, or in which case we should use replicated, then you will be able to work out with different scenarios and figure out which table suits your data need best. All right. Now, there is one more concept within Azure Synapse, which is called resource class. And there are two categories of this, which is static and dynamic. The list that I'm showing to you, this is a dynamic resource class. So what it says, based on your DW unit that you are consuming, uh, it will it will distribute it in these memory locations. So if you are using small RC or medium RC, this is the maximum power that you can use. Let's say I'm a user and I belong to a small RC group. So this is the maximum memory that will be allowed to me. And let's say you are using Azure Data Factory or any other orchestration, then you will use medium RC or large RC because you want to give the benefit to your ETL system that they should be having the higher priority to run the jobs. And now, based on your DW unit quota, it will change from each DWU, and this entire memory allocation will be different. So let's say at 500 unit, this is the memory for 70 for the extra large class. So any user or user group which is member of extra large class, they will be having ability to use up to 70% of the memory of the current system. And let's say I keep someone at the small resource class, so they will be having only option to use it up to 5% of the memory. Now, what is the advantage of doing this? Let's say there are multiple users to whom you want to give access to your data warehouse, and you want to put a control that they should not interfere with your ETL or with your Power BI or data set refresh. So you can control using these resource class. And one important thing about these classes is that if you are giving advantage of the higher resource class, and let's say someone who is in medium or large resource class, and there is no available connection, so the priority will be given to the higher resource class. So as long as if the higher resource class is using those connections, until unless they do not finish their work, it will never be released to the smaller resource class or any classes below that. And in the same way, there's a limit of maximum concurrent queries or concurrency slot, which is a long list. I just put up to this much DW unit here, but this entire details are available on Microsoft site. So yeah, this is a long list, and based on what is your DW quota, you can go through each concurrency slot and the memory allocation. Now let's look at the very important concept within Azure Synapse, which is called CTAS. CTAS is nothing but create table as select. Now this is a very important concept within Azure Synapse because whosoever will be working with the SQL DW, they will be using CTAS in their day-to-day operations. And the reason is when I created this table, I'm also using CTAS, which you didn't notice, I believe. We can also create these tables like this. We will simply define our table schema. We'll define our distribution, our indexes, and then we can start pumping the data into these tables. But I can also create the same table as by calling some other table. And by calling some other table, I can also call my external table here. So what I'll do in this demo, I'll use CTAS and I'll create my physical table in Synapse from the external table. And this external table still pointing our data lake. So if I'll run this one, this data still lies in the data lake. And if I'll run the CTAS statement, I'll be creating a table, which is DBU test employee, which will be our physical table in Synapse world. Let me drop the table. And this is how you will bring the data from the data lake to your Synapse. Very simple statement, but the way it should be used is quite effective. Honestly, Azure Synapse will never prefer that you're using a lot of delete statement or a lot of update statement, because underneath, if you see, it's not one database, it's a group of databases. So when a delete operation or update operation is going, it's basically going to all those nodes, which will create a lot of DML statements. And even though from the front end, we think it's just one statement, but it's actually working on all those distribution. And that's why there is this CTAS concept, which you can use even to do your DML operations. You can use it to do your merge operation. You can do your update operations. You can do your delete operations with this. What I'm going to do is I am going to create another table using the same table that we generated here. And let's say if I have to merge data from two systems, or let's just say if I have to use new data which is coming from my data lake as an incremental data, if I have to bring to the same table, what I will do. What I'll do, I'll use my external table, which is having 10 records, and I'll use my newly created table, which is also having 10 records. And there is this concept of labeling as well, which you can tag. It's more like a tagging. You can go ahead and query all those dynamic views within the Synapse world just by identifying the label that you have put in. So if I'll create this new table, which is test employee temp, which will bring data from these two tables, it will create 10 plus 10, 20 records, which is like, okay, 10 records it was already having. So I'm using the same table to join. And I'm also bringing the new records from our data lake. And then I'll create a new table. And this new table, then I'll replace, this new table I'll use to replace our already existing table. So first, let's create this table. It says 20 records affected. And then I can simply use the rename statement to delete my original table, basically to rename it, and then rename my newly created table to the same. And this is the query that you will use every day if you're using Synapse. So now I have dropped my original table and replaced it with the newly created table that I did, which is basically a DDL statement that we are putting, not a DML statement. And if you look at the data, there are 20 records now. Now, the same thing you can use for your merge statement, same thing you can use for your DML operations. Not only this entire concept, you will be able to work it out within your Synapse procedure. And that's how day-to-day data is being moved within Azure Synapse world. And we can use all these dynamic views to see that how the distribution is taking place in all those nodes. And if for any debugging purpose, we can take advantage of these views and this label that we are putting in. This will tell us that how this distribution has taken place, how this data has been moved, and how many, what are the different operations that we use, and how many estimated rows or row count were there. So this is just to put a tag, and it's a good concept to even figure out how many record counts were there, because there is no concept of row count with the Azure Synapse world. When you will start working, there will be a lot of challenges from the SQL world to Azure Synapse world, because there is no concept of foreign key or primary key relationships. But the more that you will start working with it, you will understand the data warehouse is for warehousing purpose. It's not your all TP system. So yes, you cannot use it for your transactional system. You cannot use it for your OLTP system. You cannot use it for your row by row processing. This is meant for warehousing purpose. This is meant for dealing with the data at scale. This is meant for big data purpose. And yes, again, Polybase is also possible with SQL Server databases now, but it's very heavily used within the Synapse world. All right, so let's go to Power BI now. Just a second, I'm opening, or maybe I'll create a new file. So the two things that I want to emphasize for the Power BI is that there is already a native connector available for Azure Synapse. And when it comes to Azure Synapse Analytics, which is Azure Studio, the Power BI is also integrated there. So whatever your workspace is based on your subscription, it will also be available within your studio, and you can directly generate the data there, and you'll be filter out your data and will be directly able to publish the Power BI report within your workspace. The one that I'm going to show you here is using Power BI desktop. Give me a moment. All right, so we'll go to Azure. There is already this native connector, and that's why it's called Azure Synapse Analytics. But behind the scene, it's just our data warehouse. And let's fetch the detail of our server. I'll mention our database as well. It's optional, but let's put it. The good thing is whenever you are refreshing your Power BI dataset, or whenever you are connecting as an import data or as a direct query, you will have the advantage of all those resource class that I was mentioning. So if you are having your Power BI dataset, which is very heavy, you can basically create it as a separate table and then import it, or you can even use your Synapse procedure to query it. The advantage that Synapse will give you, you can tag your user that you are going to create here in higher resource classes. So once you put it to higher resource classes, it will be having more compute power, more memory allocation. And if you use that, the data that you push using your normal SQL Server databases and the data that you're pushing using Azure Synapse, you'll find a huge difference in performance. So it will take some time to fetch the data from dim product table. And just for the purpose of this demo, I don't want to bring so many dimensional effects to our report. So while these 600 records are being fetched based on your compute that you're defining, it is not one single node that is working, which is like SQL Server databases. There are number of units which are acting parallelly to bring the same data. And let me choose the visualization. Okay. So whether you use it import or you use it as a direct source, you will see that performance benefits when you use Azure Synapse. More importantly, you can simply go to your Azure Synapse, and there is this scaling feature. If you are refreshing your Power BI dataset at a particular time, you can scale it out automatically. You can put a REST API call. You can do it using Azure Data Factory. You can do it using Azure Automation. You can even do it manually. What it will do, it will scale it up to whatever unit that you want. So let's say if I'll put it to 1000 unit now, then before it hits the Power BI dataset, it will scale it to 1000 unit. It will quickly get all the data for your Power BI report. And once it has pushed the data into your Power BI dataset, then you can again put another REST API for your Azure Synapse, and it will again scale it down to the to whatever DW unit that you are interested in. This is the advantage of using Azure Synapse with Power BI. You can scale it out. More importantly, whenever you are working with the Azure Synapse, there is very good advantage. Basically, you can resume or pause your data warehouse at any time, which will give you the cost benefit. Once it is paused or once it is resumed, there will not be any cost generated for your entire compute node. The only thing that you are paying is for the Azure storage, which is super cheap in Azure world. And other than that, all your DW uses and all your resource class allocation, you will be able to track it from the Synapse world itself. And if you see, these are those static and dynamic resource classes, which will tell you that which user and which resource class is using your data warehouse and then in what fashion they are using. And you can pretty much put it into your log analytics and can perform n number of queries. Even for your Power BI dataset, how much compute, how much memory it fetches, you can put another report on top of your Power BI report that how much compute it generated. So that's the whole purpose of putting into the Power BI demo. But yes, Power BI demos are already covered by Hasham and Pragati. So yeah, thanks for that. So this covers up my entire session, guys, and I'm ready to take any questions at this stage.
Hi, and thanks, Naveen, for such a wonderful session. I had put in my question out there. So okay, because we are not stored, because most of the time we don't get data into the Synapse. We usually get metadata because even with CETAs also it's creating more of a metadata than a real tables inside the Synapse. Correct? How does CETAs? Because you said that there's a metadata because we are gonna query the data in the data lake, but we are not gonna fetch the data into our data warehouse. Correct?
No, it's your choice. So if you want to keep the data in data lake, even that is possible, as long as you are not using it for downstream system. So you can keep it in the data lake. But if you are using it and you want to bring the data, you want to load the data in Synapse, you can even use CETAs for that. You can do, okay, the same concept is also available within Data Factory. You can choose different options. There are 3 options available: using copy data, using bulk data loading, using Polybase. So when you use Polybase within Azure Data Factory, you will have the same concept there as well. Or you can put CETAs in your procedure and then you can use the data.
Okay.
So here, the example that I put in this particular case, I was still querying my data lake and I was bringing the data into my physical table, if only there is a need. Yeah.
Okay. From performance perspective, it's more to have the data inside the Synapse. It will be much more easier.
Yes, I mean, you won't see the difference in like 1 million or 2 million records. If you are having, let's say 10, 20 millions or billions of records, then yes, you will be able to see the difference. More importantly, you can scale it, you can resume and pause it. So those are the advantages which you have. Yes, Dhruvin has a question.
All right. Thanks, Naveen, for this wonderful session, first of all. So, lots of people from YouTube has also appreciated. Now, one thing we wanted to know, like for Synapse specifically, the last point that you represented, the scaling functionality. Like whenever we are refreshing the Power BI report, based on the requirement, we can scale up our Synapse database. So, is there something like auto scaling functionality is available, like anytime if the higher volume of data is requested, it auto scales?
Yes, Dhruvin. We can do the dynamic scaling as well. We can do the static scaling as well. So let's just say if we have to refresh our Power BI report at a particular time in the morning, let's say 9 o'clock. So before it starts refreshing the data set, it will scale it up to whatever unit that we want. And then it will process the data and then it will scale it back. But let's just say if we really want to do the dynamic scaling, even that is possible. You will define your conditions within your, let's say, PowerShell script. And based on your data requirement, or let's say if you want to process the data or if you want to fetch the data, if your, let's say, memory utilization goes beyond 30% or 50%, then you will put those alerts that, okay, if it goes more than 50%, then scale it first and then do the data refresh and then scale it back. Even that is possible. Because Power BI data set is and I think this is something that we can call using REST API. And using those REST API, we will just put up a web activity to call that and to refresh our data set. So it's not like data set can only be refreshed from Power BI portal. You will put up activity within your Azure Data Factory. Let's just say web activity. That web activity will be calling using REST API for your Power BI data set. And at the time it calls, it will check the memory allocation and it will scale it up if it's necessary.
Yep, got it. Thanks.
There's a question in the team: is the Databricks cluster better than the Synapse in terms of costing?
Databricks will be costly because there you will be running different clusters. We are not running any clusters here. We are just distributing the data. And how much distribution that you want to put, it's again, it's in your hand. Of course, with clusters also you can define what cluster for how much longer you want to run. But the advantage that you have here, it's your entire warehouse where you will store the data as well. And even when you are putting the compute, you have the advantage of Polybase here. But in Databricks, you will be creating your own clusters through which only you will be able to fetch the data. But yes, the data can be read from data lake both by Polybase and by Databricks as well. But Databricks will be costly. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I think. Okay. Yeah. The comment is awesome. Thanks. So, Dhruvin, any more questions from YouTube?
No, I think we are good.
All right.
Great.
How are you doing on time?
All right. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
I think.
Naveen, for this
Yeah, thanks.
wonderful session.
Yeah. I'll stop the recording first before I. Thanks all for attending, guys. Thank you very much, and really appreciate Naveen your time on the weekend to help the community across.
What? Thank you. Thanks for organizing, guys. Thank you so much.
No problem. Dhruvin, any last words?
Nope, I think I'm good. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending this session. So I think 150 plus audience joined across so far from YouTube teams everywhere. And this session is available on my YouTube channel, as well as we will share the recordings afterwards into upcoming weeks. And most probably next month, we would be having our next session, and we will share our details soon on our all social media handles. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.